Hey, Xiomy here. So today I wanted to film my Top 5 Wednesdays, and Top 5 Wednesday was created by Lainey over on Gingeries Lainey, but now it's being hosted by Sam from Thoughts on Tones. And today's topic for discussion was favorite books outside of your comfort zone. Now this is a topic that I really wanted to do or discuss about because I, for one, am a person who has been immersed into fantasy. Trust me, the only thing I used to read for more than over a year was fantasy. It's funny because before fantasy, I used to read about a lot of other books. I used to read contemporary. I stopped at contemporary. That's how much I read. But I would never read books about criminals or, you know, sci-fi or retellings or anything like that. I would never read any kinds of books like that. The only types of books that I would read is always fantasy that has to deal with vampires and warlocks, witches, shadow hunters, which I was, you know, in a huge reading slump because of shadow hunters. But those are the only genres or books that I ever deviated towards. And when I started my YouTube channels, when I actually deviated from that genre and started picking up different books. So these are the 5 books or the 5 kind of genres that I deviated from, and I'm glad that I picked these books up, honestly, because I have loved every single one of them. None of these books that I'm going to mention aren't in any particular order, but the one that I'm going to mention in a few seconds is one that I rave about and that, you know, I talk a lot about, and that is I Am Malala. And this is a story, basically I count this as a memoir, especially a recounting of one of her most tragic moments in her life and how that basically developed in her life and made her basically who she is. And this is a book that really inspired me, and it touched my soul, it touched my heart, and it moved me in a powerful, and it did impact my life in a powerful and meaningful way. And I am very humbly blessed that I picked up this book and that I read it, because it did open my mind to a lot of things that are happening in this life, and specifically, you know, being grateful for the place that I live in. And I raved about this book. I even did 5 reasons to read I Am Malala. I honestly, this book did immerse me into her life and everything that did happen to her at such a young age, you know, and for her to become, you know, this pillar or whatever you want to call her, symbol. It's just something that's very impactful to read in your life, and something that I am very blessed that I actually did pick up. The next book that I'm going to talk about is a dystopian book, and this is the first dystopian book that I ever read in my life, and that is Divergent by Veronica Roth. I count this as a standalone. I don't talk about Insurgent, nor do I speak about Allegiant. And Allegiant did hurt me a little bit. There was one specific part that hurt me more than the other, but anyways, that's not what this topic is about. It's about Divergent. This was the first dystopian that I ever did read, and I used to watch a lot of dystopian movies, so this being the first book that I ever did read, I really did love this book. I loved Tris, and I fell in love with Four, you know, and obviously these other characters that are being introduced, Christina and all these other characters. I do love them, and I did love everything that did transpire in this book. And even though I haven't read it in a while, I do want to reread it because I just want to immerse myself in this world again. And I love the movie also, so book to movie, movie to book, I loved both of them. But honestly, this was the first book that I ever read that was apart from fantasy, and one that I really don't regret reading because I loved it. And it was just a beautiful reading, and how everything was into factions and how this dystopian was created was something that really did marvel my attention, and I really did love this book. The next book that I'm going to mention is a contemporary, and that is Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. Oh my goodness, I've raved about this book a lot on my channel. I mean, I did a book talk, I did a book to movie. I've spoken a lot about this book, and I love it so much. It's so dear to my heart, and it did make me laugh, it made me cry. It's just a bittersweet story about a girl named Louise, and she's so quirky and so different and so distinctive. And then you have this guy, Will, who's a quadriplegic, and basically he's struggling through life. And I know pretty much everybody knows about Me Before You, but he basically wants to end his life because he doesn't want to struggle anymore and, you know, surpass all the things that are happening to him. And even though she does become his caretaker, something that she didn't know what she was thrusted into, she basically over the course of the time tries to change his thoughts, but nonetheless he already is driven into one specific desire, and he's not going to change that desire no matter what or who tries to convince him in his life. And it is a strong story, but I loved it. I loved everything about it. I loved the movie also about it, but this book really was beautiful, and it made me cry so much, honestly. And I adored this book for everything that it is. Even though it did make me cry a lot, I loved it because it made me feel an array of emotions, and it is a bittersweet story that I just simply fell for it, honestly. The next book that I'm going to mention is a retelling, and I don't read retellings, but this book is Cinder by Marissa Mayer. Honestly, this book really didn't captivate my attention so much, maybe because it was raved so much, and I really didn't enjoy it that much. I mean, I liked everything that was happening, but I wasn't connected to the characters. When I read Scarlet, and then I read Cress and Ferris and Winter, these books get better as the series progresses. Honestly, for me, I'm not a fan of retellings, but I love this retelling. You have all these fairy tale retelling elements, and I just simply adored this story. I enjoyed this story and how each and every single character is so distinctive from one another, and how they grow as the series transpires, and basically they are going to overthrow Levana, and it's something that's very hard to accomplish, but it was just a lovely story to read. And I fell in love with this series so much, and I really did enjoy this retelling. Even though that this wasn't my favorite book, I enjoyed all of the other books from this series. The next and final book that I'm going to mention is one that deals with criminals, and I don't read books about criminals, but they are these kind of anti-hero kind of criminals that you just have to love to hate, or hate to love. But I love them, honestly. I fell in love with every single one of these characters, and the book that I'm talking about is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This book was amazing. I loved it. I enjoyed it so much. Everything that transpired in this book was just heart-pounding. There were scenes that just had me, you know, gasping for air, and honestly I really did enjoy everything that transpired in this book, especially that heist. Oh my god. And I really don't read books about criminals, like I said, and these are basically criminals who are going to get a major prize, and I loved reading about their story. Every single flashback that was introduced in the book, I enjoyed it because it immersed you into the world of these criminals, and it's something that I appreciated so much. And this book, even though it did end on a cliffhanger, I cannot wait to read the second book. But honestly, this was a book that I never would have thought that I would have picked up, but when I did pick it up, I was not disappointed one bit, and I actually loved everything about it. And it's funny because it's a book that I would actually never have picked up. One of the reasons that I did pick it up is because the cover is beautiful and the pages are black. But aside from that, what's inside was marvelous, honestly. These are all my 5 favorite books that I read outside of my comfort zone. If you want to tell me your thoughts down below, feel free. We'll chit chat, we'll talk. You don't have to, but I want to thank you for watching, and until next time. Peace.